So the end that we cut is called the butt end, and then this is the feather end. And you can see how it has a droopy nature to it in natural, right? When it grows on the tree, it grows like this, right? Swooping down, and the snow collects and then bounces off. So we're using it upside down basically. So what we want to do is, especially where there's a Y like that, we want to push that in so it has a little tension on it, and then we eyeball our site here and see where we can find a place to put it in. So what I'm looking for is an anchor point. So an anchor point could be underneath that log and then into the body of the land as deep as it can go. It could be that with this Y, we hook it onto a 2x2, right? If we had 2x2s up there, we could do that as well. There could be a root system that we anchor it onto. So if we built our structure here pretty good, should be able to climb on it. So I'm going to try and see if I can go up underneath here and how deep it can go. That's about as deep as it can go. As long as this is not in the existing water course, then it won't get caught up by the waves and pulled back out. But it is pretty loose, right? So what we need to do is have another piece that would go across it and maybe anchor it underneath this log. So if we had a piece handy, you can see there's a new rose right here that's just been planted, and this alder is on top of it. Let's keep that in there. Excellent, thank you. So now this piece, if you look at it, one side is bald and one side has a lock, right? So we're going to come this direction, and I'm going to put it in that gully right there, and I'm going to put it underneath, over and under on this branch, and held up as high as we can. So then we've got all this lovely seaweed here that's nice and heavy. That can also help anchor us in place up in there, right? So you have one piece this way, one piece that way. You probably have another spot for that big one that Ben has. And this one's really quite long, so I'm going to flip it this way, and then I'm going to go underneath that branch right there. Some smaller pieces, we can use these guys to push down and go underneath there. See how you go under and over and then under again, so it kind of knits it back together. See what I mean? Whew. So some of these, if they're wiggly and jiggly, we can use the string from the hay bales and we can tie them to our anchor points. When they're up inside the structure, they're less likely to get blown away into the ocean. So we don't want to add plastic, right, out there. So we try not to tie things with the plastic cord, but we do what we can when we can. And it's really just like an organizing of the space. So this one can go underneath here, over top of these. You see what I mean? So then it's got this protective mechanism on top. So now the snow will land on there and bounce down instead of going in and like drilling a hole through it. So the more brush, the better, right? You can never have enough brush, really, is the main thing. When we have a plant, we just try to make sure that its mechanism for food is the photosynthesizing. So we want to make sure that the leaves are out in the air, and as this neutralizes, as the root systems take hold, these will start to bend up, and then we'll get like a shrub here with lots of leaf litter that'll lay on top of here and decompose, and you know what I mean? Feed the soil system. So we have a huge cavity under there. Like we could just put endless amounts of brush under there and then drip that all over top the front. So this brush here is protecting what's underneath it. Makes sense, right? Yeah. So it just takes a little mindfulness sometimes. Like you can just go along and shove, shove, shove. But then at some point you have to actually do the weaving to like lock it together. Yeah? Yeah. So we usually lay the brush at the top so that we can just pull it down easy. Or if we, depending on the site, right, we might have piles on the shore if we have a big beach. But there's always a timing of like, you don't want that stuff to float away. So on the top is usually the right spot to put it. And it's nice if you can have lots of brush that you can actually like fill the cavities full, full, full. And then have that whole draping thing over top. So when the big waves come, it has a buffer now. This is going to protect everything underneath it. So every year you can add brush. Every year. For the rest of everybody's life. Right? Yeah. Okay. So these